T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, this is sports and other stuff. So the stage is set. It's conference title week. We have Bills, Chiefs, Buccaneers, Packers. But first, a look back at the weekend. Lamar ends his season with a concussion. Patrick's scary, wobbly exit. He's day-to-day. Was that really Chad Henne? Green Bay, Tampa Bay, both bays look impressive. Is that it for Drew Brees? So, guys, let's get going. There's so much to talk about. Let's go.
Brees, I would say that, yes, he needs to go. I mean, he that one big play where they brought in Jameis Winston proves to you that Brees can't throw it that distance anymore. And rather than see him get just totally decimated, he should walk away. And he already has a job. I'm not sure with whom. They keep saying he has a broadcasting job. So
NBC.
Okay.
Who's it, NBC?
I'm pretty sure it's NBC.
Well, Jay Glazer says he's going to retire, so that's as good as gold for me. You know what I'm saying about that?
Okay.
Jay
But
Glazer.
that game was kind of interesting in several ways. Brady looked like he still had something in the tank. Brees looked like he had fallen off that cliff that sometimes athletes do.
I find the game interesting because it was a combination of, like, both defenses were playing well, but actually both quarterbacks, obviously Brees a lot more so, both quarterbacks were not that great. I mean, Brady, he dodged any picks, but if you go back and look, he barely missed. He essentially almost threw 3 picks in that game as well. And the worst thing for the Saints is three of their turnovers resulted in the 3 touchdowns that the Buccaneers scored. The first INT that Murphy Bunting was able to get because Brees tried to force feed it to Thomas, and Bunting was all over him, and that led to the Evans touchdown. And then Cook caught a ball, and it was stripped out by Antoine Winfield Jr., and Devin White recovered it, and that led to the Fournette passing touchdown by Brady. And then Devin White intercepted. There's definitely miscommunication between Kamara and Brady. I mean, on Brees, on whatever the route was supposed to be. Devin White picked it up, and on that drive, Brady scored the rushing touchdown. So that's the thing. Those turnovers were huge because the Bucs capitalized on all of them.
Yeah, it was just the watching of the changing of the guard this weekend in a way when you see those two guys go at each other, and then Lamar and Justin, or not Justin, but Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, yeah.
Yeah.
So you could see things, Buffalo to me, like if we want to talk a little bit about Buffalo, right now, Josh Allen is pretty much it with Stephon Diggs. Beyond that, they don't have a running game, and I'm not real impressed with their defensive line. So it'll be interesting this weekend. I'm not a big time Chiefs fan either because they just, with all that talent, they should be putting just points on the board time and time again. So, and we don't know about Mahomes. I think that whole thing of saying that wasn't a concussion, I think that's just another way of getting him back in the game because, they can't force him back in if he's in true concussion protocol.
Right.
So
the call's out of the coach's hands. It's in the doctor's hands, right?
He's in concussion protocol. So, I mean, like they can't do anything about that. I mean, that's independent of the teams. So,
okay.
Since you kind of brought up the Bills-Ravens game, that's just a weird game. I mean, there's so many factors. There's just so many factors. I mean, you could clearly tell. I mean, I never looked up what the win was. The win was a huge factor.
Oh, doink after doink.
I think Al Michaels needs to go back to Amazon and turn in that anemometer because he kept saying it was only 7 miles an hour. Did you catch that every time? It's only 8 miles per hour up here in the booth.
No way it was 8 miles per hour. You visually saw the goalpost moving back and forth left to right. It wasn't just the flags at the top.
Al is 76 years old.
Even though Tucker did miss a kick against the Titans, Tucker's like one of the best kickers ever. And for him to miss 2 kicks, and with the great like eye popping, like he was like a silent comedy star with how big he was bulging his eyes.
Harold Lloyd.
Yeah, but that he missed, and to be fair to Luggs' point, I get why the Bills in that game just kind of like, because Ravens are so good on defense, they're just like, we're just going to throw the ball, which makes sense. But with that wind, it doesn't, because you could tell when Josh Allen would throw deep throws when the ball has to go higher in the air, those balls were affected. When he kept it to short to intermediate routes where the ball's height never got too high, that's where the ball stayed in control. I don't know.
I don't understand why Wink Martindale got away from blitzing. You know, it was like they sort of reversed. Buffalo blitzed more. It was just inexplicable. You know, you ride the horse that got you there is what I would say. But again, interesting game.
And I'm not going to say it's his mistake, but the one touchdown scored by an offense, his defense screwed up, because if you go back and look at it, it was a bubble screen. It was 3 wide receivers versus 2 DBs. Someone was out of position on the defense. And it was an easy score by Stephon Diggs, because like there was no one guarding him at all. So,
and I agree, it was a weird game. Let me ask you a question. Aren't usually the first 15 plays of a game scripted? Right?
Yes.
Why was Lamar looking at his wristband way early in the game? Like there was confusion. Did you notice that?
I don't know, but I think you all agree. The first drive, they actually moved the ball. Yeah. After that, they struggled.
I just don't know. You're right. It was a weird game in a lot of ways.
And that's the thing, is like if you go back to the game against the Titans, because they brought them out in the first half, their big wrinkle in the second half that was huge for them was they had their fullback essentially be on the field the whole time, Ricard. And like he allows them to have another blocker where they can push them out to seal on the outside, or like obliterate a middle linebacker on the inside. They got good drive on the first, and then I think Buffalo's like, we don't believe Lamar can throw, so we're just gonna completely stack the box with 8 to 9 people, and that pretty much ended it.
Shut him down.
And the real tragedy is before the Teron Johnson 101-yard interception, that was just a bad throw. I mean, I don't know. Going back and look, I don't know what Lamar was looking at.
Right.
The thing that sucks is the play right before, Marquise Brown was wide open on a crossing route. And to be fair, I think there was some pressure on Lamar, but if he just stays in the pocket and throws it, there's wide open space to the front of Marquise. I don't think there was anyone over there. He could have just kind of lofted it. So
Lamar got his playoff victory, so the monkey's off his back. But you're right. He holds onto the ball sometimes way too long when he could just sit in the pocket, sling it, and he'd have a easy play.
And, you know, I will say this. I know he had some trouble this year in the last 2 playoff games, and I even think before that, the last few games of the season, Marquise Brown has really come on. Like, Marquise Brown is a legit receiver. And obviously, to be fair to Lamar, he needs more of those, because outside of that, I don't think he has one. I mean, Mark Andrews is a good piece, but they need more wide receivers. But he definitely does need to develop as a passer, because outside of Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews, and J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, they don't have a lot going on offensively.
And Mark Andrews in that game, his hands must have been cold or something, because he dropped a couple that would have made a big difference in that game.
Yeah. Well, the big goat, because obviously it led to the concussion, the big goat is Patrick McCarry, the center. Just two woeful snaps.
Right. That one on where he got the concussion.
Yeah.
There's not a human on the planet that could have gotten that ball out of the air.
And I'm not even counting the one, if you all remember, I forget what they did with the play. He caught it like right
one-handed. Yeah.
He caught it one-handed. And it's and to be fair, I think he's mainly a guard. I don't know if he was thrust in that position because of injuries, but it definitely.
Well, I think he replaced the other center because the other center kept grounding them in front of Lamar.
Yeah.
So
make up your mind, right? Come on, let's go.
But yeah, Buffalo did enough to win. They got decent pressure on Lamar. I mean, they got 4 sacks and 7 QB hits. So, but to be fair, they allowed 4 sacks to the Titans. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with Lugs on like not being impressed with defense because even though the Bills played well against them, the Titans got 4 sacks on them, and I think the Titans only had 19 sacks the whole year. So I just think that's a Ravens thing with pass protection. So,
well, and I gotta say, right now, if I were betting, I would bet on the Packers being Super Bowl winners.
Yep.
I mean, because they're like as complete a team as any of them that are left.
When you're hot, and they are. Yeah, I agree.
It was impressive, that win of theirs. And, I mean, just Devontae Adams is like the safety blanket now and does some amazing things.
Yep.
I just think that game really highlighted, like the full package of the offense that is the Packers. That first touchdown, that was just to be fair, they have talent in Aaron Rodgers and in the running game, but that was just a well-designed play where Devontae Adams went right and then he went back left, and because of that, Ramsey couldn't sift through all the screens of the defensive backfield. And, when he hiked it, he was wide open and just flipped it like that's a well-designed play. The second touchdown is Aaron Rodgers, even though he is older, he still has the ability to run, and he pump fakes. He's got Floyd to bite and go up high, which allowed him some room just to squeeze it outside. And then, out of half, Aaron Jones was shot out of a cannon and got a 60-yard run, and he capped it off with a 1-yard touchdown. So
a lot of good mixing up on plays. I think Rodgers still does a great play action.
Yeah,
I think you're right, Lugs. Hard to beat them.
And their defense really showed up.
Smith brothers.
They had been maligned about not being able to stop the run or whatever, and they took care of it. They really did.
Yeah, one of the guys that does make them scary is Kenny Clark and Zadarius Smith.
Yep.
They both had sacks, but Rashawn Gary from Michigan, who took a few years to get going, but this year he kind of the light went on. He had 1.5 sacks. So,
and Jair Alexander in that secondary, former U of L player, he's impressive. I mean, he was doing some run stopping himself. So, no, they're a complete team.
And then Goff, they've invested a lot of money in that guy for the Rams, and that's that deal.
Well, and McVay, his statement was kind of, I don't know. It didn't just bring out confidence.
No,
in Goff.
He's a candidate for the job. I mean, he didn't say that, but
Yeah.
Well, to be fair to him, after this year and the year prior, like he shouldn't. I mean, I think everyone agrees McVay is a good coach. I think he is. And you look at what Akers is as a talent.
Yep.
And I will say this. I don't think this is controversial. I think they have some good receivers. I don't think they have one special receiver. I think Robert Woods is good. I think Cooper Kupp is good.
Yeah. I
don't think there's anyone that is like when you see a Devontae Adams, there's no one close to a Devontae Adams level. So they do need improvement in that area. But and obviously Aaron Donald was not Aaron Donald, so I don't know how much that would have affected the game. It maybe would have been closer. I'm not saying that Green Bay still doesn't win, but him being compromised was a huge factor.
Yeah, you could see him on the sidelines, and he was just doing everything he could to get a breath. Those ribs, obviously, were sore.
You almost had to think there was a fracture, right?
Oh, I guarantee you.
Well, Goff, I don't know. That's the thing is like you have a few of these quarterbacks. I know we have one more game to get to, but like there are a few of these quarterbacks. I don't know what's going to happen this offseason. It'll be interesting how they operate.